My name is John Jones, Chairman of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to the notice provisions of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act, with all participating authority members attending in person. While this meeting is open and public, there will be no public comment, as is OTA's longstanding historical practice. In addition to being open to the public for in-person observation, the meeting is being live streamed and recorded for remote viewing. The time is 10 a.m. and I'm calling the July 8th, 2025 regular meeting of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority to order. Charity, please call the roll.
Mr. Wilberry.
Here.
Mr. Todd Cone.
Here.
Mr. Gene Love.
Here.
Mr. John Titsworth.
Here.
Ms. Dana Weber. Mr. John Jones.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Our first item of business is the approval of minutes for our regular meeting on May 6, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended and the minutes have been approved for May 6, 2025. First items of business are the finance items. Mr. Cohn.
First item, Mr. Chairman, thank you, is item 1292, Dr. Lair.
Dr. Lair.
I don't know about that.
Did I miss something?
He's got his
Good
Juris
morning,
Doctorate.
Chairman Jones, authority members, Director Kelly. As you well know, the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority is an instrumentality of the state of Oklahoma, created by the state legislature for the purpose of constructing, operating, and maintaining turnpikes that serve to complement and enhance the state's highway transportation infrastructure for safe and efficient travel in and through our state. OTA's mission is expressly identified in statute as an essential function of the state of Oklahoma, and the governance of the powers conferred by the state legislature to the OTA are this board's responsibility. You are a true governing board, as Director Kelly and the rest of the OTA staff are only empowered to conduct the OTA's business through the items that you authorize in our open and public meetings conducted in compliance with the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act and as otherwise delegated through the OTA's bylaws. In respect to the OTA's bylaws, the OTA is required to have certain officers that are also members of this board, specifically the chairman, the vice chairman, the secretary-treasurer, all must be members of this board. The OTA is also required to have an assistant secretary-treasurer, which office has historically been filled by an OTA employee. On an annual basis, the OTA's bylaws, Article 3, Section 3, require that this board select officers to serve terms beginning July 1 and running through June 30 of every year. Agenda item 1292 serves to satisfy this requirement. Agenda item 1292 authorizes the reappointment of the current slate of officers, specifically John Jones, Chairman, Will Berry, Vice Chairman, Todd Cone, Secretary-Treasurer, and Julie Porter, Assistant Secretary-Treasurer. This item is recommended for approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
No.
If there are none, Mr. Chairman, then I would move for appointment of or election of officers of the slate that's been presented by Mr. Lair.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1292. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended and item 1292 has been approved.
Mr. Chairman, my next item is item 1293 by Amanda Bolden.
Good morning. Submitted for consideration and approval of the authority is a request to authorize the director to negotiate and execute separate master services agreements and task orders to be issued thereunder for the staff augmentation services with the following 5 firms: 811 Group LLC, Infogenie Incorporated, N2S Global Workforce Solutions LLC, Protivity Government Services Incorporated, and Rose International Incorporated. These agreements will include a 3-year initial term with 3 one-year optional extensions upon mutual agreement. Until additional funding is approved by the authority, the amount authorized to fund task orders shall be the remaining uncommitted balance of the amount previously authorized for staff augmentation master services agreements in the amount of $12,540,472.84. This was approved by the authority on December 10th, 2024, as reflected in Agenda Item 1251. Staff have reviewed the above item and recommend for approval.
Any questions? If there are no questions, Mr. Chairman, I would move for adoption of item 1293 as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1293. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended and item 1293 has been approved.
Mr. Chairman, my final item is item 1294, which is going to be presented by Micah Gardner.
Good morning, Chairman Jones, members of the authority. Item number 1294 is the payment registers prepared by the Comptroller Division. These registers contain all payments made by OTA during the months of April and May 2025. Staff has reviewed this item and recommends for approval.
Any questions of Ms. Gardner? If not, Mr. Chairman, I would move for adoption of item 1294 as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1294. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended and item 1294 has been approved. Our next item of business is from the Engineering and Construction Division. Mr. Berry.
Thank you, Chairman Jones. The first item in the Engineering and Construction Division is item 1295, which will be presented by Mr. Gardner.
Good morning, Chairman Jones, members of the board. Presented for consideration of the authority is a request that the following change orders be approved. Of these change orders, 2 overrun existing items due to site requirements, 3 add new items to compensate the contractor for additional work, and 1 credits time to the contract due to additional work. This item has been reviewed by staff and is recommended for approval. As always, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Are there any questions? If not, I move that we approve this item as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1295. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended and item 1295 has been approved.
Item 1296, Mr. Gardner.
Yes, item 1296 is the on-demand construction management services contract for Access Oklahoma Bond Program projects. Submitted for consideration and approval of the authority is a request to authorize the director to negotiate and execute 14 separate on-demand construction management contracts as authorized by Oklahoma Statute 69-708.2G for Access Oklahoma Bond Program projects. Each on-demand contract shall serve as a master agreement for work assigned to the selected firms pursuant to task orders. The scope of work under these contracts is generally described as on-demand construction management services for Access Oklahoma Bond Program projects, including grading, drainage, paving, bridge, and toll facilities turnpike system-wide, including new route alignments in the South Oklahoma City metro area. Task orders issued under these on-demand contracts are anticipated to cover Access Oklahoma Bond Program construction projects scheduled for award during the next 2 years. The authority's Access Oklahoma Bond Program current construction letting schedule is detailed and updated on the authority's website, which is linked in this document. The total not to exceed aggregate amount authorized for these on-demand contracts shall be $150 million. This authorized amount will be used collectively to assign work pursuant to task orders issued under the separate on-demand contracts. A summary of the selected firms is below. Atkins Realis, Benchmark, CEC, Cowan Group Engineering, Friesen Nichols, Garver, Hudson Prince, Jacobs Engineering, Olson, Poe and Associates, Smith Roberts Baldesweiler LLC, Standard Engineering and Field Services, VRX, and WSB. I'd also like to add that we recognize this is a large contract which is needed for the volume of projects we have planned over the next 2 years, but all task orders which allocate a portion of these funds to specific projects as well as invoices associated with each task order, are thoroughly tracked and monitored using an internal platform and tools, and is available for all of our internal staff to view at any time. Also, the selection of a consultant to be task ordered to a specific project is an intensive process. We have a very good understanding of the current capacities of each firm at time of selection and which projects they have currently assigned between ODOT and the Turnpike Authority. We also look at specific job type relative to the firm's expertise and previous experience, location of the project, team structures, past performance, qualification of team members, and more. So it's a pretty detailed process. But with that, staff has reviewed the above item and recommends approval. Be happy to answer any questions.
I think that's a great explanation, Jeff. Do y'all have any questions?
No.
If not, I move that we approve this item as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1296. Do we have a second?
Second motion.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote appropriately. The voting is ended, and item 1296 has been approved.
Thank you, Jeff. Next item is item 1297, which will be presented by Mr. Butler. Good
Thank you,
morning.
Mr. Berry. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good to see everyone here this morning. Engineering Division has 3 items we'd like to present for consideration today. That's item 1297, 1298, and 1299. Item 1297, this is for 2 construction contract awards. First one there is JKT ER-02. On February 27, 2025, an overheight vehicle struck 2 bridges, TPU Bridge number 112.48 and bridge number 112.86, carrying local traffic on Northwest 23rd Street and North Sarah Road over the John Kilpatrick Turnpike near Oklahoma City and Canadian County. You can see some pictures of that there on the screen. 5 beams were damaged due to this strike. The repairs include removing damaged concrete, cleaning and preparing concrete surfaces, patching the spalled concrete with pneumatically placed mortar, and adding splicing devices to severed strands. This project was not declared an emergency due to the minor repair on the beams and no impact to traffic at the time. There were 3 bidders on the project. The low bid amount there you can see is Built Right Construction in the amount of $89,395.88. This is about 28.6% below the engineer's estimate. And we do have insurance for the overheight vehicle that hit both of these structures. Happy to answer any questions. Okay. Second project there, this is our CR-34501A. This is our Hakey Creek Bridge Rehabilitation Project. This is rehabilitation of 2 bridges, northbound and southbound over Hakey Creek, located at milepost 15.05 near Broken Arrow in Tulsa County. The rehabilitation includes removal and replacement of the concrete deck, parapets, concrete beams, bearing assemblies, and repairs to the substructure. We had 3 bids on this project. You can see there OBC Incorporated is our low bidder in the amount of $62,608,596.70. This is about 5.6% below the engineer's estimate. This is one of the longest bridges on our system. It's almost 5,000 feet long. There will be 484 pre-stressed concrete beams that will be replaced as part of this project. Again, that low bid amount, $62,608,596.76. Engineering staff's reviewed both of these bids. We recommend approval.
I think this one will be one that will be happy to be redone. I actually drove on it yesterday.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty bouncy.
It's been a long time. Been a long
Yeah,
time coming.
it has been.
A lot of kids are gonna miss it.
That is true. That is true.
Looks like we had some good bids on that first project,
Yes, that's right, we did.
the low bid especially.
Yep.
Very, very good. They didn't want to bid the second one?
Apparently not.
Are there any questions? If not, I move that we approve this item as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1297. We have a second.
Second motion.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended and item 1297 has been approved.
Mr. Butler?
Yes. Item 1298, this is a engineering contract modification. Submitted for consideration of authorities, request that the following item be approved or disapproved. This is our general engineering contract with Olson. This is our 2021 through 2025 contract. This is Mod 4. This contract modifications provide compensation for additional general engineering services for the Access program. Services include additional senior engineer support, staff attendance at plan review meetings, office support time, design and quality control support, overall program management support and reporting, additional services as needed, and trust agreement compliance. The amount due under this contract modification 4 shall not exceed $350,000 for these general services. The revised contract amounts and not to exceed of $5,131,500. Staff's reviewed this item. We recommend approval.
Any questions? I move that we approve 1298, item 1298 as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1298. Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended and item 1298 has been approved.
Last item is item 1299. Mr. Butler?
Yes, sir. 1299, this is ratification of declaration of emergency for replacement of a gantry. This is near Miami Interchange at milepost 313. This is project WRER 011 on the Will Rogers Turnpike. You can see some pictures of that there on the screen as well. Submitted for consideration and approval of the authorities, a request to ratify the executive director's May 14, 2025 declaration of emergency to replace an overhead gantry at the Miami Interchange on the Will Rogers Turnpike in Ottawa County. You can see the attached May 14, 2025 memo on the following page as well. On May 13, 2025, an overhead gantry was struck by a UPS semi-trailer that veered from the Will Rogers Turnpike main line in the westbound direction. The gantry sustained significant damage and has been removed from the roadway. The gantry spans 64 feet across both ramp lanes that carry traffic to and from Miami and the eastbound direction. Due to the impact sustained, the entire structure will need to be replaced. The work will consist of replacing the gantry, repairing one concrete footing, replacement of one concrete footing, equipment, cabinet, and pad replacement, and also tolling equipment. Temporary tolling equipment trailers are in place until the gantry repairs can be completed. The Executive Director's declaration of emergency is in accordance with the Public Competitive Bidding Act 61 OS 130. We went to work immediately on this after it happened and after we had declared it an emergency. We reached out to Metal Pros. They're currently fabricating a gantry for us that's set to be delivered hopefully mid to late July this month. The cost for that was $65,188. We also reached out to Traffic and Lighting Systems. They'll be installing the gantry, removing one of the footings, repairing the other footing, replacing some conduits and various other items. The value of that work's $100,975. Work orders have been issued for both of those items. And we also have work that will be completed by our TransCore for tolling equipment, fiber, and networking. There's an estimated cost associated with that of about $216,000, which brings the total to about $382,000. So appreciate everyone's hard work. Again, we have these emergency projects from time to time, and everyone knows exactly what to do. So big shout out to the team for jumping right on this. We've reviewed this declaration and recommend approval.
I'm assuming UPS is picking up the tab for this?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any,
Good assumption,
yeah,
since we knew who it was.
any idea about what caused them to veer off the road?
I have not, I don't know if it was a medical event. I'm not sure if anybody has that information, but it looked like the semi really never tried to stop. So certainly could have been a medical issue.
Okay, thank you.
Not to get off on a tangent, but there was another semi-truck that ran off the bridge there at the Veneta exit. Did something come about on that deal?
Yeah, I don't know that that was,
Was there any damage? Because I think it caught fire.
yeah, I don't know if maintenance,
Damage to the bridge, Darren, I don't think there was.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Oh, okay.
there wasn't any damage to any of our infrastructure, hit the guardrail, when it went off, but luckily as I understood it, the driver was okay.
Yeah, I think he ran away and hid.
Yeah, from where he was able to get out.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But the person that ran him off the road actually, tried to get away, and I understood, I guess I'm being picked up here. I understood that the, highway patrol had to track that person down,
Oh.
to come back, so, back to the scene, so, I don't know a whole lot of detail on that.
I got you.
If it wasn't broke and needed repairs, sometimes it doesn't cross my desk.
Well,
Yeah, sorry about that.
There you go. Well, good. Any more questions for item 1299? If not, I make a motion that we approve this item as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1299. Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended and item 1299 has been approved. Next item of business are reports information section. Our first report is Highway Patrol Report, Captain Gary Vinson. Pinch hitting for Major Val.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thanks for giving me this time. For the month of May, Turnpike troopers made 5,181 violation contacts, assisted 1,062 motorists, and investigated 194 motor vehicle collisions. Troopers worked 1,065 shifts, averaging just a little over 200 miles per shift, with a total of 215 miles driven. Turnpike system reported one fatality for May, that was on the Turner. And then we had 2 criminal interdictions were reported. The specific information about commercial motor vehicle enforcement, aircraft, and toll enforcement, motorcycle enforcement, that's all included in your review. We do have a academy going on right now that you're aware of. Started out with 68, it's the 74th academy. We have 53 remaining. Graduation is October 17th. And then those guys will go through 14 weeks of field training. And upon graduation of that, their first solo day or week will be the 1st of February.
Isn't that a little bit larger than the last academy?
A little bit, just, I think by 10 or 15,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Happy to answer any questions.
Where did this fatality take place on the Turner? Was it near some of our construction?
In the
issues?
construction zone, the one by Stroud.
I know we keep stressing, issues with that, and people really need to be careful as they enter those and slow down and follow the instruction. And I know we've got rumble strips out, and we're doing everything we can. At the same time, it, falls on the driving public to make sure that they are aware of that. And I know we're doing everything we can do, but you hate to see it.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Next report is our consulting engineering report, Jimmy Sparks.
Good morning, Chairman Jones, members of the authority, Director Kelly. Concerning the trust required services, we are nearing completion with the inspection of all the bridges, culverts, and pavements that are due for this report. Our draft annual report inspection data is due to OTA staff on August 1st, and we will be updating our recommendations to the 5-year plan. And really within that, normally we see a gradual recession of the performance ratings for pavements and bridges. Usually, it's usually about 10 to 12 years for each before we see a kind of a major category drop from, say, good to fair or whatever. But by inspecting every year, if there are things that advance a little quickly, we do have the flexibility to pull things up in the plan. So as the new inspection data gets completed, we'll look at a year over year of how the systems ratings are holding up as far as major assets like road pavements and bridges. In May, our engineers checked 58 special overloads. That number decreased to 47 in June, but if you recall that there had been some months where it was 100, nearing 100, so we're still seeing a large number of special heavy loads traveling the turnpike system. Mr. Berry, to your question earlier, our report did contain the inspection on the Will Rogers Bridge of over Highway 60 at Veneta. Pictures look pretty alarming, but what I gathered from maintenance was the truck departed the roadway. The trailer actually skidded down the top of the parapet wall with the truck landing about 20, I think he said about 20, 25 yards clear of the bridge. So the fire was clear of that. Doc went up and looked at it, and there was very little soot on the bridge, so did not sustain any major damage. That one will come back across Darren's desk as in our inspection, we do think that needs to be added to our list of capital projects. So it will hit his desk, but not an emergency situation. So that was the only inspection report in our report, and always our capital plan project summary is in there if there are any questions.
Any questions? Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Our next report is our trustee report. Ms. Singleton.
Good morning, Chairman Jones, members of the authority, Director Kelly. As bond trustee to the authority, all monthly debt service transfers were made for the semi-annual payments due to the bondholders as required by the trust agreement. To our knowledge, all other requirements set forth in the trust agreement have been satisfied. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Our next report are the operating results and financial condition. Wendy Smith, good morning.
Chairman Jones, members of the authority, Director E. Kelly. You've all received your operations report for May prepared for the Comptroller Division. As you can see, net toll revenues for May 2025 on the Turnpike system reported at $42.6 million, which is a substantial increase. Total transactions grew by 1.8%, and year-to-date toll revenues are actually above budgeted projections by about 8.3%. Also, OTA continues to maintain its conservative approach to spending, and collectively, our division managers have held the revenue fund expenses to 22.2% under the 2025 operating and maintenance budget so far this year. We also continue to steadily achieve and exceed our trust-required senior and total debt service ratios. And as for the Gilcrease, the transactions continue to climb, especially as it is a commuter turnpike. It's been open now for 2.5 years, and in particular, the daily transactions for weekdays have continued to be strong. They increased by about 4% as compared to last year, with an average of almost 31,000 vehicles per day on weekdays. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you, Wendy.
All right, thanks.
Good job as always. Our next report is the Director's Report. Joey Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Couple things that I just want to bring to your attention, and one of them is that we didn't have a board meeting last month. This is the second time in a row that I've been able to report on us skipping a board meeting, and I just want to let everybody know the only reason we've done that is if we don't have an agenda item that requires us to have a board meeting, then we've been able to table some of those to the next board meeting. We've been able to do that. Really helps with some of our efficiency and only doing this once every other month if we're able to, so we're going to continue to try to look for that. Absolutely no promises though, because as we get more into the access program, we're going to have more projects, Mr. Berry, that we'll be bringing in front of the board to award, and hopefully we continue to get those good bids. So no promises that we'll be able to skip any more board meetings, but we have been able to have 2 here recently, so I appreciate the board being here today. A couple things that have happened over the course of the last couple of months that we need to bring to your attention. One is that in May, we had a pretty significant storm over on the eastern side of the state. We had storms lots of places. One location was Fort Gibson. The pictures that are scrolling through right now show the maintenance crews, which were able to mobilize and show up on site within hours of daylight to begin trying to help the community just open up the local city streets. We have that equipment, we have trucks, we have men, we have these track hose that you see on the screen. They're able to gather some of that up from the roadway to just remove the debris and get the road back open, really try to help the community out. So altogether, in a 3-day period, the crews were able to move 207 dump truck loads of storm debris. And again, I think one of the most impressive things is that storm happened overnight like they always seem to. The following morning, we were checking in with communities across the state, including down at Blanco that had a tornado during that time frame. And ODOT mobilized to a few communities. Fort Gibson reached out to us. And so Jeremy and his staff were able to, load up in hours and show up. That's a big deal. It didn't take us days to get there, it just took us a few hours. So Jeremy, I really appreciate it from me, maintenance guys. Please pass that along from all of us. We're really proud of you.
And from the board.
Another thing that maintenance got to do on a little bit happier note, we had a pretty significant basketball team win enough games to get to have a parade. As we entered into the finals, we began having discussions about a pretty major parade that needed to happen downtown Oklahoma City. The city of Oklahoma City, there was a certain number of blocks they had to block off, and they had to do it with hard barriers. And not having enough of those necessarily in the state, one ask of the city of Oklahoma City was, do you have any dump trucks that you could hard block off some streets and help us out? And men to manage and operate those, manpower to actually be there to move them if we needed to and be on staff. As you can imagine, we had several people who were eager to go and assist. That was right up until we learned that we needed to be on site to do the closures at 3 a.m. And a few people weren't necessarily super excited about that. But again, I want to give some major kudos to Jeremy. When stuff like this does happen, he doesn't just assign it to somebody, he's there on site. So at 2 a.m., day of the parade, Jeremy was there sending text messages and reports out. The pictures that you saw scroll, a lot of those were ones that he took. The guys that got to go down there didn't necessarily get to see the parade. They were a few blocks away. So they did make a sacrifice, and they were there from 2 a.m. until later on in the afternoon after the crowd had cleared. So again, big thanks to maintenance and Jeremy and his entire staff for helping out the state on a pretty happy note for this occasion. Briefly, I would like to ask LaDan to come up, Mr. Chairman, with your permission to present a little recap on the Great American Cleanup.
Thank you, Director Kelly. Good morning, Board. I am proud to present this year's numbers for the Great American Cleanup. This year, throughout the months of March through May, OTA has collected over 8,500 bags of trash, over 2,400 cubic yards of dumpsters that had trash in them, and over 2,100 tires. That is across our state, and all of that was collected and disposed of properly. All of that was done through OTA maintenance and the volunteers at the OTA headquarters. So speaking of maintenance, we want to shout out the Creek Turnpike. You're going to see the Creek Turnpike on your screen. This is led by Jerry Jenkins. Him and his staff have done an excellent job of representing the OTA and the Great American Cleanup. They take the routine items such as, collecting trash and making sure that the roadway is clear, and they bring that spirit over to the OTA. So we just want to highlight them and show them that we appreciate all the hard work that they do, as well as everyone that is part of that maintenance team. This picture over here with the wildflowers is on the creek, just near the South 49th West Avenue. So all of this could not be possible without our partnership with Keep Oklahoma Beautiful. We are proud to announce that in 2025, this is the 16th consecutive year that we have collected trash and done a Great American Cleanup event in all 77 counties. It's a huge deal for the state of Oklahoma. And OTA is proud to be part of this team, and we look forward to the Great American Cleanup next year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nelson. A couple of construction updates that I need to make the board aware of, and of course the public. They'll be a part of the media notes from today, but one pretty major change that's coming to our turnpike system and to one of our service plazas is at Stroud. If you've driven the Turner Turnpike through Stroud, you've seen that replacement, to replace that service plaza is a pretty major challenge to keep it open to the public and to keep it operating. A few weeks ago, we had a traffic switch that moved the westbound lanes that used to go north on the north side of that service plaza. That's all been moved to the south side, closer to its permanent alignment. When that occurred, the access to that service plaza became really a challenge. The amount of vehicles that are able to access there, or that are catching the access and taking the exit, has just really been greatly reduced. We'd already closed the McDonald's just because they weren't getting enough traffic in there. That sped up some of the construction. So we've notified the city of Stroud, obviously, that relies on that. And we've visited with Love's, who's seen a dramatic decrease in traffic. And the thing that we're going to do is accelerate the construction by closing that plaza for a few months here. So that actual closure will begin at 8 a.m. on July 15th. Again, will allow us to move this construction through much quicker, as if we can get the public access that's going in and out of there out of the way, we can speed up some of the phases. The anticipated completion is still the fall of this year. We think this is still going to accelerate at about 2 months, right, Jeff? I mean, we think we're going to be able to get done 2 months early, get it fully open and operational, and that'll better serve the public than what we currently have. If you've driven through there, you've noticed that it's pretty easy to miss the exit, and there's just not a good way of signing it in its current alignment. So we're moving forward with that. Want to make the public aware, but ultimately we'll have a really nice service plaza. I just want to remind everybody, I think there were only about 65 or 70, if you could get the semi-trucks into them, parking spaces in that location. When this is done, there'll be 125 parking locations for just the semi-trucks. We know that's an issue with them parking on the shoulders, and we want to give them a safe place to be, so we're trying to accelerate that. Want to provide a brief update on the South Extension Turnpike. Since our last meeting in May, just the week, I think, following our meeting, or a week or two following our May meeting, the Turnpike Authority conducted some public meetings down in Noble and in Norman. Those were a success. We received lots of public comment, and right now the engineers are going through compiling those. We had a soft deadline to supply comment by the end of June so that we could tabulate those and get them all pulled together. That has occurred. At the same time, if you still have questions, the access hotline is still available, and you can always email us at info@accessoklahoma.com. The screen shows the phone number and the email address. We're still answering questions. We routinely have people reach out to us with wanting to get some updates, and we're trying to provide those. We are still continuously meeting with the local stakeholders, including the county officials, both the city of Oklahoma City, city of Moore, city of Norman, as we continue to talk about both the east-west connector and its design as it's progressing, and then the South Extension Turnpike as we start talking about where that new alignment will be. Lastly, I've got a couple of safety things that I want to touch on. We are really at the height of summer travel. Somebody usually asks, and I was talking to Tim Stewart about this just a few weeks ago, that just about every Friday we're hitting a new record on the amount of traffic, amount of transactions that are occurring on the turnpike system. So it's happening every Friday. When we have this good weather in the summertime, we're breaking a new record. And we've had significant traffic growth, just as Wendy talked about. We've seen lots of extra transactions. What we want to remind people about this summer, though, is to update your Pike Pass account. Make sure you have the right license plate on there. Make sure you're updating the number of axles on your account. If you're pulling a boat to the lake or a camper, and it's in your best interest to update that information. We're able to then bill you appropriately on your Pike Pass account. So make sure you've updated your license plate. Upload an email address. We have lots of accounts that were opened a long time ago and don't have email addresses associated with them. Really allows us to be able to make contact faster without providing a phone, without making a phone call that somebody's gonna dismiss. We can shoot an email, so please update email addresses, mobile phone numbers, and obviously the number of license plates. You can always check real-time traffic information at oktraffic.org, and you can also download the free Drive Oklahoma app. We use this actually during snow and ice events to monitor the conditions of the roadways across the state, both ODOT and OTA. We upload those. DPS, our maintenance crews, and some folks here at the DOT keep that pretty up to date as a storm progresses. So we're able to watch road conditions as they change across the state, and that's the Drive Oklahoma mobile app. If you haven't downloaded it, you should be picking up your phone right now and downloading that. And then lastly, this is Secure Your Load Month, where we really want to draw additional attention to secure your load. Just recently, I was coming down I-35, and I was on the phone with Trent. Didn't have the phone in my head. I was talking to him on the truck, and there was a piece of tin in the road. I dodged the first one, missed it. A quarter mile later, there is what I learned later to be a tomato cage that was in the middle of the road that I hit. A few miles later, traffic started coming to a stop, and I catch up to a vehicle that's loaded down with scrap, tin, tomato cages, stuff like that. It has two straps across this open 16-foot flatbed trailer, and we're all coming to a stop and go traffic on I-35. And I get up next to him, still got Trent on the phone. I said, hang on a second, I'm gonna tell this guy he's losing some of this. So I roll my window down, and I wait and kind of wave, and he looks over at me, and I said, hey, you're losing a bunch of tin and stuff off the back of this trailer. I've seen it for the last couple of miles. And he said, really? I said, yeah, really, you're losing tin. He said, thanks, and rolled the window up. I assumed he was gonna head to the shoulder. He did not. He kept heading down, as soon as the traffic started to move, he continued to move down the roadway. Of course, I was getting off here at 36th Street to come to the Turnpike office, so I don't know what else he lost. But, people really need to be responsible. I hit a tomato cage driving a pickup. You hit that on a motorcycle, something really, really bad could happen, especially if somebody throws it up and you hit it not with the motorcycle, but with yourself. So I just want to draw attention that it is your responsibility to secure your load, check your straps, make sure everything is extra tied down and in a safe condition before you head off on your journey. So with that, Mr. Chairman, take any questions that the board might have of me.
Any questions? I assume your last comment will be to buckle your seatbelt.
I was just about to say that. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please buckle your seatbelt.
Thank you. I think that concludes our items of business. I ask for a motion for adjournment to our next meeting scheduled for Tuesday, August 5th, 2025 at 10 a.m.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended, and we're adjourned to August 5th, 2025, 10 a.m.